What's going on, guys? Today I want to share something I've been working on for the past few years, but mostly, honestly, been working on it for the past few months. Something that started in 2014. It's basically me trying to create an AI console. So you know how we have gaming consoles like the PlayStation, Xbox, all that stuff. I wanted to create an AI console, so basically just something dedicated exclusively to run AI remotely, at least like basically screenless. um, so I'm going to show you the first version here from 2014. And obviously, based on the title, same thing. It ran on the Raspberry Pi. It was one of the first versions that came out. And you can see here, I just basically had it on a case. I made this during college. I think the case actually contained some stepper motors or something. And this is obviously the last version I have here on its stand. And same thing here, it runs the Raspberry Pi. And I can show you the setup I have here. Grab the video. So you can see here running the Raspberry Pi with the Pi Hat, so I can put a SSD on it. That's 1 terabyte of SSD, and so you can see here it has no screen, right? It's completely remote. It has dual Wi-Fi, so that way you can connect it to your network, or you can connect it directly through its hotspot using one of its Wi-Fi modules. And that's the stand that it sits on. I am working on a stand a wall mount that you can put on your wall, so you can mount it on the wall as well. So just trying to make it uh, kind of like expandable, so you can mount it on different things and like have different stands for it and stuff like that. But pretty tiny. Um, Again, on purpose, I don't want it to have any screen, so you can basically just access it from your phone or from your computer, and hopefully soon enough from your TV as well, so you can stream some of the data you have. Like I said, it comes with 1 terabyte of SSD, and I just wanted to share kind of like the development process. So I went through a lot of iterations. I started with some uh, FDM prints just to get the shape uh, that I wanted. I honestly did not want it to look like a face. That was kind of accidental. I just really like the shape, and I've had it in my sketchbook for a while for other stuff I wanted to make. But you can see here several iterations of using FDM printer. I think it's just like a basic Creality 3D printer for FDM. So I just once I perfected kind of like in my for me the shape I wanted, I basically moved on to resin printer, and I'm using the Elegoo Ultra 4 um, amazing printer. Just you can basically just unbox it and get it running basically within like I think like 20 minutes or so. Super cool printer. But you can see here this is a version one. Like even accidentally, version one had a uh, kind of like a translucent case. You can see I think this is the second Raspberry Pi. Again, this is from 2014, and then it was hooked up to a 1 terabyte SSD. I can't remember if Pi hats were a thing back then, but I'm running just like a SATA cable to USB and routing it through the case. And I had this since 2014. It was basically dangling in my dorm room, and I use it to just like save course files and stuff like that. And it used with AI, so I basically wanted it to connect to like appliances. IoT was like the craze at that point, and I wanted to use with AI to basically create actions from natural language. If you guys don't know, with AI, they were acquired by Facebook, I think, shortly after that, maybe 2015. Um, and they basically, it was an NLP company, so they took natural language and it would give you a JSON of basically actions or intent. So I wanted to use that, and Wolfram Alpha. Uh, I got introduced through Wolfram Alpha using when I was using Mathematica in school. So again, immediately I knew this wasn't going to be anything that that it can be sold or anything like that. I knew it had no future because obviously it was remote. Like it needed access to Wolfram Alpha or with AI, and I basically wanted to create something that was 100% local. Like it needed no internet to work, and you can basically just hotspot into it and access now an LLM. But I kind of had an idea of like, hey, I want something that I can talk to, or something that knows a lot about me without it being like in a cloud somewhere with someone else having the keys. I do believe the future of AI is local, 100%. That's basically something I'm betting on, um, and I think it's going to be like just a no-brainer. I know the whole move is into like humanoids at home. I like as cool as those things are, and I definitely think those have a place. I just don't think they're going to be as common again. I'm gonna probably gonna eat my words in the future, but I just think we have like tools in the house at home that are smart already, and I think just having like a central command center, like a something like this, is going to be what you need in order to basically control all the things that are in your house. I don't think you need a humanoid to do that. But anyway, that's kind of like a tangent. Um, but like I said, like you're gonna have an AI console just like you have a PlayStation, and obviously Raspberry Pi it doesn't have a GPU or anything like that, so it's super just low cost and kind of like think of it as like just super early V1 in terms of like the vision at least of what I want it to look like. So this is kind of like my interpretation of that. And I want it to be platform agnostic so that, you know, if one family member has Android, the other one has a Mac, you can basically just like log into this and have information and information that you don't want going elsewhere. And also it has the storage so you can like store all the stuff you want as well. And it has embeddings, and we'll get to that in a second. But I just wanted to show you how fast this is. So this, I'm currently logged into my personal Persys. By the way, I called it Persys. It just stands for personal systems. And you can see here from the earlier video, like I've called it that since 2014. So I'm kind of just sticking by that. Um, so I just want to give you an idea of how fast the speed is. I'm probably not gonna get into like tokens per second in this video just because I have no idea. I'm like kind of just putting this out there for posterity, to be honest. But just to give you an idea of how it looks, I'm just gonna say something super basic. Let's see. Uh, just to kind of give you an idea of how fast the generation is. Um, so you can kind of see, I mean, it's not like cloud fast. You got to remember this is running on 8 gigabytes of RAM and on the Raspberry CPU. So it's not going to be like instantaneous, Jesus. But it's pretty good, honestly. And I can show you some code generation as well. I can say hello world in Python. Um, and I did integrate like some like code editors in this, but you can kind of see how fast it is. It's pretty good. Like if you like, if this is all you had and you didn't have internet, which you know obviously is something I'm familiar with. I did teach myself how to code without any internet growing up. So like if you had something like this, like I would honestly, I think my mind would be blown. It's just amazing. Um, so you can kind of see how fast it created the code for 8 gigabytes of RAM on a CPU. It's pretty good. I do have a M1 Mac. That's like what I'm recording this on, and it's pretty close performance-wise. Obviously, it's not the same, but for a tiny little computer, it's honestly pretty good. And then you have your storage here. Um, so this is just my personal stuff, and I do have like music and stuff like that. So you can kind of see this should not be there. Um, but you can see like how fat like the stuff I added here. So like you can like I can show you. You can like play music as well. It does have like it does have. Let me see if I can bring it up to the screen here. But I did make like a little uh, MP3 player here, and the whole goal is to basically just like embed as much metadata as possible, so you can basically interact with it via chat. I do want to add voice, text to speech, and speech to text at some point, but that's currently just not a possibility. But again, just setting the foundation for the future. And I'll make all this open source if anybody watches this stuff, and I'll open source the design through the CAD files. Don't flame me for some of the decisions I made on the CAD files and the code. I did teach myself all this stuff, so it's probably not perfect. Um, so you kind of see, and you have multi-chat, multi-session chat. So you can create like new sessions. One thing I noticed, obviously, and if you've worked with LLMs, you've seen it too, especially locally, is you'll get like a startup, like it needs a warm-up period, but once you're warmed up, it's pretty good. Um, so like each session is individual, so there's no like memory between sessions, but each session obviously has a chat history. And I kind of want to show you some of the code some of the decisions I made in writing the code. Um, so obviously base layer you have Llama, and I'm running uh, Llama 3.2, the 1 billion parameter version. I've tried so many models on this, but honestly, the one that works pretty well performance to speed ratio wise is the 1B. You can run, I've run the 3B version. It's pretty good. It's just not fast. So if you want something fast, you're gonna have to go something lower like 1B. Um, but 3B works fine. Again, just if you're used to like cloud-based speed, then it might feel a little, weird because it's gonna just the token generation is just not gonna be as fast. But anyway, so I did use this is probably kind of like sacrilegious, but I did use PureJS for this. It's just code I had laying around from like when I made uh, video conferencing tool for me and my friends. We wanted to do like a hackathon. We all live in different cities, so and we do want to use like all these other like more like businessy conferencing, and it was kind of just like doing a hackathon to do a hackathon. So I made like a video conferencing. If you guys don't know PureJS, it's basically like a peer-to-peer communication like framework. It uses like a WebSocket, so it's peer-to-peer. So it's like basically the stuff you see that's being generated real time instead of like sending a typical uh, web request. You basically send a WebSocket request, and then you can stream that information in real time. So I'm using that here. You can see loading Olama. I do have a model file. It's pretty basic on this example, at least. I'm not doing any temperature or anything adjustments or anything like that. It's just a model file, basically preparing the model. And then you have your PureJS here. This is not like final code, it's just FYI. But it basically saves the chat sessions, and then it streams the response. So it gets the request, generates the response, and then it saves it as a chat session as well, and then it spits out the generated text. um, let's see. Other than that, I will do like I promised earlier. I will do like a speed, like a token per second, tokens per second. But other than that, I just kind of wanted to show you like get a feel for it. Let me go show you the. So this is I did create like a text editor for it. So like I've been like just using this to like write notes and blogs and stuff like that. Like do some edits, and then you can see here you have an embed option. I am playing around with the performance right now, but if you do the embed, it basically takes what you write here and it'll create an embedding using Nomic, and then you can create a chat session based on this document here, and you can basically ask it about the stuff you wrote. So if you have like just I don't know whether it's copy text from the web or anything like that, or you're writing a document or whatever whatever it is, you can basically just write it here, embed it, and then at a later date you can ask it by creating a chat session here. Um, Things I've noticed with running the 1B, the Llama 3.2 1B, it's pretty good. I mean, you've seen the text generation or the code generation. It's pretty good. It'll mess up some things here and there. And again, if you're a power user, it's probably not for you. But for like what I need just to ask like fact checking and like, generating code, and it's not going to generate like senior or staff level code. But it's pretty good starting point. Um, and like this is a case where like you just don't have to. I don't like I said, I think the future of AI is local. I just don't see it like it's getting commoditized so fast that I don't see anybody paying $20 a month to use this stuff in the next like few years. Um, and not just like monetarily wise, I think just like data privacy wise, and like just application wise, I think we're just gonna end up having like an AI console at home, not just not just to do like code or text generation, but image generation. And again, I know the limitations of running CPU, trust me. Um, and I did look into like other GPU accelerated platforms like the NVIDIA ones, the Orin. I do want to try the Turing Pi with their GPU cards installed. That's something I want to try next. But this is just like a starting point, basically proof of concept for me to see, hey, like, is this something that is this like this is like my vision of the future, basically. It's just you're gonna have this like uh, AI console at home, and that's gonna be like your go-to best friend. And home automation is the next thing I want to do. I did try creating some like quote unquote framework to basically convert prompts into on and off like voltage commands for some of the like electronics I have, some like the microprocessors I have here or microcontrollers. And so you can create simple stuff like that. Just like you just need, obviously, it's not going to be 100% because LLMs don't work like that. But I want to be able to say, turn this off, turn that on, put the blinds off, down or up, stuff like that. It's pretty good. I had about like a 90% success rate. Especially with 1B, it's just not that smart. It's pretty smart, but it's just not. It can make mistakes. So that's kind of like the future timeline wise is adding home automation. And like I said, my bet is you're gonna have that like a central AI console that sends commands to the stuff around your house. And I know people hate IoT, like cloud stuff. Like you don't want to send a command to the cloud and it goes to the cloud and comes back and does, turns on your toaster or whatever. I think it's gonna be you're gonna have a at home local AI hosted and you're gonna tell it stuff and then it's gonna, you know, send that action directly to the tools you have connected to it. I think that's the future. I think just whatever you call it, whatever you're imagining, I think just having an AI console at home is kind of the future. And I know a lot of people are attempting this, probably better than I am. I know TinyGrad is doing an amazing job, but they have, again, this is like more like consumer based. This is not like, hey, you're going to be training any data. You're not going to be training any data on this at all. I mean, you might train like small neural networks, but you're just not going to be training LLMs on your own on a Raspberry Pi. Anything that's good at least. So this is more just like consumer, kind of like plug and play. You get it, you plug it in, and then you have something that you can talk to and, basically knows about you as much as possible. I do want to connect it to like message history and stuff like that and email. That way I can just like, again, ask it. So it's like a better search system. Um, and then future stuff, kind of like how Apple has like photo tagging and all that stuff. I want to do that too. But again, down the line. Um, so like I said, like 10 years ago, and then I kind of put it on the shelf for a while. It was this red box was doing other stuff in the meantime, but I did keep it all these years. And then GPT-2 came out, and I kind of was like, hey, I think like this can actually finally work. But again, it wasn't where I thought it would be. And then finally with Llama, that's when I was like, okay, this actually might be time to like really work on this. So kind of just like timeline wise, all the stars kind of had to align. And one more thing, and then obviously llama.cpp also. But one more thing is the Raspberry Pi 5 coming out. And that was a huge boost, super fast CPU. I think it's like 2.5 gigahertz or something like that. I do have the specs somewhere, but that was a huge help. And then obviously the Pi hats, uh, keeping it super small form factor. I will say if you're going to attempt this at home, 100% get the fan. Is just like just just trust me. It's super cheap. Just get the fan. You're gonna need it when you're running any kind of LLM on that. And then if you want to keep it super streamlined, get the Pi hat so you can add a SSD on top without having to use any external drives or drives that plug in via USB. So the PCI slot was super nice for coming out on the Raspberry Pi 5. I'm excited to see if the Compute Module 5 comes out soon because I have some ideas for that too. Um, and then let's see. Okay, so design wise, like I said, I don't have any like professional design like background. I've just been designing stuff on my own for a few years. I do have a lot of background selling design stuff or hardware, mostly furniture. Um, you can see here, I kind of wanted like just like a different design. Like I really don't like the whole like e- people, companies selling cubes. I mean, that's cool. They're amazing. But I just wanted something, kind of like new. I didn't want it to look like a brain or anything, but I did want it to look like a fresh design. So it's pretty simple. I did have a lot of inspiration for this for a lot of from a lot of different things. I can talk about that in a later video. But um, super streamlined. I just because I was like, it doesn't need a screen. Eventually, I do want to put a microphone, so it's always listening, and that's not a bad thing because it's local. It can be always listening. It'll just like save that stuff in the internal drive, so you don't have to be like paranoid about that stuff going into the cloud. And I totally understand that valid argument. Um, but you can see here the back pretty. I will say I'm adding more um, holes here for the fan. And I'm probably going to end up adding an extra fan here inside to blow all the hot air out. But I did this two mount system so I can come out with more stands and wall mounts and all that cool stuff. Um, and again, like I said, like two two Wi-Fi modules so you can directly access it, or you can like let it connect to your local Wi-Fi. I do have plans to like maybe put a router in this so it can kind of just replace the router as well. That way it can, I know Apple tried that a long time ago. If anything, they were probably too early. Uh, but that's kind of like the final shape at this point. If I end up going for the touring pi or something of that form factor, I'm probably thinking about doing like a big like disc type design. Um, but this was just like a first kind of initial, hey, this is what I'm thinking. The stand was actually like a secondary thought anyway. Like I designed this first without even thinking about a stand, and then eventually it was laying on my desk, and I was like, I probably need to make a stand for this. Initially, I was 100% going for a wall mount, but I'll make that available too. Cool. Other than that, software-wise, I am getting ready to ship the pre-orders, and let's see what date it is, in 10 days or 12 days. But so a lot of the my work, since the hardware is done, a lot of my work right now is on the software. Um, it's also just pretty much done, but I have other things I wanted to change, like more like UX stuff, and there's some work to be done on the code generation part of it. Uh, but that's it. I know this video is probably not even going to be watched by anybody, but for posterity's sake, I'm going to put this out there, and I'm probably going to, if people are interested, I'm going to keep publishing videos about work on this. If there's something that specifically you want to know about this project, let me know. Like I said, I'll end up open sourcing the code uh, probably when I'm done like shipping the first batch out, and then I'm gonna also open source the CAD files for the console itself. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.